I'm Greg DeRocher, and this is Chamber Web TV, focusing on election 2018 and the candidates from both Cambridge and Kitchener South-Hespeler. Here in our studio today is the candidate for the Libertarian Party from the riding of Kitchener South-Hespeler, Nathan Lajeunesse. Nathan, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you, Greg?
Good to see you again.
Yes, it's glad to be back.
It's always nice to see you. We get to talk about all kinds of things.
Exactly.
Again, remind us, why are you so interested in politics? Why politics?
I actually can't stand politics.
Okay.
If they could literally leave my wallet and my property alone, I'd be much happier. I was glad to just move along my merry way, save my money, do what I wanted with my life until my children were born, and I realized it's not changing. No one's doing anything. I can't just be silent anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of people in your boat.
Yes.
It's interesting. I think you and I might have talked about it before. There was a study a long time ago where people would fill out on Facebook, and it was supposed to identify you as what political party you affiliated both with. And I think it was a ridiculous number. It's like 86% really were affiliated with being a libertarian.
I know. I think most people want people just to live their lives and be happy.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting challenge government has, regardless of the party that gets it powered. We have, with the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, we have a Vote Prosperity campaign that's going on. It's focusing on 4 pillars that the business community across the province has identified as priority areas. Strengthening business competitiveness is one of the pillars. Fostering job creation, building healthy communities, and improving government accountability is the last one. So I want to go over a few of those and some of the areas that you might want to talk about, I'm sure. If there's anything else, of course, just jump in, and as I know you will from past experiences. But one of the pillars in the strengthening business competitive, it talks about the electricity file, which most of the pillars talk about the electricity file. But part of the issue that we see is that the Ontario government is taking the surplus power that we generate occasionally and selling it off to other jurisdictions at either a reduced rate or paying them to take it away. What we're advocating for is saying, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you open that opportunity up for Ontario businesses to be able to buy that power at a reduced rate or maybe free? Give it to them to at least consume it. What do you think about that?
I think it's a terrible plan that we currently are in. I think it's pretty mind-blowing. A lot of corporations have their own solar panels. Why can't they just keep their own energy? Why can't major corporations open up their own turbines, create their own energy, and then sell it to the cities, the municipalities at a competitive price? Make the corporations compete. That should drive the price down and quality up. There's so many, especially with technology coming, there's so many opportunities. Like we're in Cambridge, we have tons of rivers. You see on YouTube, these people have little river generators that can power your house off a stream. Like, there's so many opportunities out there, but the government has to monopolize it. They have to control it, and they don't want anyone else to succeed. That's the biggest problem, is open it up to the free market. Let corporations and even individuals, if you have solar panels on your roof and the power goes out and you're without power, does that make any sense to you? Like, how frustrating would that be if you've got $40,000 of solar panels on your roof?
We just experienced that, actually.
Yes. Like, isn't that frustrating? That would drive me nuts.
What about Hydro One? Should we own it? Should we let it go? What should we do with Hydro?
I think let it go and make it compete. There shouldn't be a monopoly there either.
Yeah.
I think if we didn't have the debt, then fine, you can get involved with it. But the public needs to realize you're open to buy Hydro One shares.
Yeah.
And then you can move the shares as you see fit. You don't have to wait for Kathleen Wynne or Doug Ford to move your shares for you, which you'll never see a cut of those profits anyways.
Yeah.
So just, if you really want Hydro One to be public, put your money where your mouth is, buy some shares.
Yeah.
Sell it, help pay off the debt, and then open up competition. They cannot be a monopoly. Yeah. Monopolies never work.
Nathan, you're probably very familiar with Bill 148, Better Jobs and Fair Workplaces legislation that Kathleen Wynne brought in about a year ago. She announced 173 regulations were going to be changed. One of them was minimum wage going from $11.60 an hour up to $15 an hour in a transition period over about 14 or 18 months. What's a libertarian like you think about Kathleen Wynne's Bill 148?
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I think as I think unions actually do a better job at providing fair, safe workplaces and fair negotiating. And they do it much more efficiently, and they don't use intimidation and force on employers and employees that don't want it. They keep the government out. As far as the minimum wage, why is our public education system not teaching children how to negotiate with employers?
Yeah.
Some people are absolutely so hungry to work that they will undercut the next guy. Allow that to happen. That gives people the first opportunity to get employment, especially with all the new immigrants we come in. They're willing to do things that some people aren't. Let them build their way up. That's how our grandparents made it. We all came to Canada willing to work.
So the Libertarian Party then really focuses on free enterprise system.
Oh yes, competition.
Whatever deal you can make, you make that deal.
Correct. And if you want to form a union, form a union.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to. The union has to be able to compete with non-union.
Yeah.
And that will help bring up non-union prices and help keep union labor competitive as well. If we had any market, you look at any of the markets that have 100% labor workforce, the quality is usually lower and the price is usually higher. I'm a union tradesman. I compete with non-union iron workers every single day. Mm-hmm. They make a good living. We make a good living. We all have to compete. If we're soaking up too much money, we don't get hired.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it all finds its balance.
Yes.
Right? So small manufacturers over here who need a specialty engineer or tool person on the floor, they've got to pay the rates that the big guys are paying. Otherwise, they get nobody to come work for them.
Correct.
So let the market drive the system.
That's what most libertarians believe in.
Well, yeah, and I know there's some variations on how libertarian, and you know what? There's variations. I think in reality, I think we all think this, and even small business owners think this. The more money people have in their pocket, the better off they're going to be because people are going to spend money in their place. Mm-hmm. That's not the issue at all. But when you come out and the government starts to impose costs on you,
yes,
without imposing an ability for you to generate more revenue, that creates a problem. Mm-hmm. And business can't see its way out of that.
No, and you're just going to see more automation with technology. More lower income people and lower skilled people are going to be out of work.
More part-time jobs instead of full-time work and all that kind of stuff. But we told them all that. I'm sure you well know.
Oh yeah.
Fostering job creation. This is something that'll play right into your wheelhouse. How should the government modernize the apprentice system?
The apprentice system. Well, for me, a union guy, I love the way our unions run the apprenticeships because when you're doing your hours, you get paid and you get compensated hours for when you're in school. Mm-hmm. Mind you, let the non-unions do the same thing. If they want to take on an apprentice, pay them. The government doesn't need to be involved. I personally do not like OCOT. I think it's a waste of money. I actually forfeited my Red Seal Ironworker membership with OCOT. I am forced to be an OCOT member for my crane operator's license because it's a compulsory trade. For us, we would eliminate OCOT and lower the cost of doing business and regulation. Mm-hmm. People have to. I do agree. Like you can't have anybody wiring up your house. Right. So there does need to be an apprenticeship program and certain credentials approved that you are capable of doing this.
Yeah, there needs to be some regulation.
Right.
But the point is, how do we get, we're paying $90, $100 an hour or more for a plumber. Right. How do we get more kids interested in the trades?
Show them the money. You start like my whole life that I went to colleges. For me, waste of time. I got a friend who started ironworking when he was 17 years old. Started making big money by the time he was 19. Show the kids the money. Let them. If they don't want to do it, then don't do it. If you do want to do it, get the other guys out of the way and let them work.
Well, sometimes mom and dad get in the way. They want doctors, lawyers, and accountants.
It's true.
Yeah. But I think maybe it's a better working relationship between government, business, and the education system to say, government maybe needs to stand back and say to the education system, you need to invite business into your education program to make sure that there's awareness of what's available.
Correct.
And I think that's where part of the problem is. Education systems now think all they have to do is teach a child how to make a decision. Well, they can't make a decision if they don't even know what's out there, and that's part of the problem. We all see kids. I have a 17-year-old now in grade 11 going into grade 12, and there's no possibility she could make a decision if she was presented with all of the information that is out there.
Right. And I like
Probably fortunate who she's got for a father, because I know what's out there and I can tell her.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that the government would. I don't like it when the government pushes certain agendas because that's how you flood markets. And then all of a sudden, all these kids are signing up for programs that they're going to run up debt to acquire the education, and then the jobs aren't available.
Yeah.
But I do agree with presenting them. And I saw on Twitter, Hesper Public School had a trades guy come in and teach all the
Yep.
kids about different trades and what they
That's
do.
a good idea, too.
And I think so too.
Yep. No, it's great. Building healthy communities. What do you think about the mental health issue? What should we be doing? Mental health is probably responsible for addiction, homelessness, drug use, you name it.
Correct.
You could probably draw the line. It might be squiggly in some cases, but you can all direct it back to incidents that happened that caused a mental health problem with an individual. How do we attack that?
I think it's a health issue, and I think it should be treated like any other health problem. For the addictions, that hits home heavily because I was walking my daughter this year down by the river and I found a needle. I think if people are addicted and they're willing to seek help, then it is a health issue. But it's the same thing if someone had cancer and refused to get treatment, then it's not a health issue. You can't force them to be helped. They have to want to be helped. When it comes to our healthcare system, the monopolized system we have, it just increases wait times and increases cost. So we have a plan to actually allow people to opt out of OHIP if they want. Not to deteriorate OHIP and not to defund OHIP and not to disintegrate it is our goal. Our goal is there was 26,000 people that left Ontario for healthcare last year. I'm assuming that if there is alternatives here, that'll bring in more nurses, more doctors, have people stay here, the money will stay here, then you can still tax them on HST, and then those people aren't in the emergency rooms and they're not in the surgery tables bogging down the system. So therefore you'll have lower wait times and more availability. The government can't do it all. Let them compete and open up mental health issues as a healthcare issue.
So a private public healthcare system
Yes.
is what you're optimizing for. Okay. Improving government accountability, and I know the Libertarians are all over this.
Yeah.
You probably really love the creative accounting that the Ontario government did with the hydro 25% reduction where they borrowed, well, it'll end up costing Ontarians $40 billion to pay back the loan.
Yep.
But put it on in Hydro 1 that they no longer control anymore.
Yeah.
And so they're now saying it's not their debt, it's Hydro 1's debt. So it doesn't get added to the province's debt, but in essence, it is our debt. You know, taxpayers are going to have to pay for that. What is the problem with government trying to skirt around, not do anything illegal? Because I can tell you what they did with that
Two
hydro.
people did do something illegal, but
But what they did with the hydro thing and putting that $25 billion deficit on that is not illegal, and that's why the accountants are all are in disagreement with the Auditor General. The Auditor General is not saying it was illegal; she's just saying it was inappropriate. That you should be more transparent to the public purse. You should be saying, no, that's your debt, so it should be accounted for in the overall books.
right.
Why is it government does this? What happens?
Because it's monopoly. Who else are you gonna buy your energy from?
But what happens to people? It's still run by people. It's still run by people like you and me who are elected out of society. Why do they change?
Because there's too much power. There's no competition. You can't voluntarily not choose to fund the government. Like if you don't like Walmart, don't go shopping there.
Yeah.
Enough people don't like Walmart. Walmart's gone. You cannot voluntarily choose to not fund the government. They own you. If you don't have the choice to take your money and go somewhere else and still live where you want to live and still live in the community you want to live in, they won't listen to you. I cannot get an MP to answer my phone calls or even respond to me on Twitter anymore. There's no representation.
Everybody responds to you at Twitter.
Oh yeah,
I do.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, I know. And a few people on 570 News do too. But my MPP completely muted. Even when I email them, I go to their offices. No, it's literally taxation without representation.
Wow. So people change.
Oh yeah, but they don't really have it. I don't know if they have a choice. Like I don't know if our MP and MPP can really make decisions. It all comes down from the top down. Can they make decisions?
But we live in a democracy. Of course they can.
I don't think they can. I've watched it for 30 years. But to answer,
I enjoy your tweets, though,
Oh,
Nathan,
thanks.
Nathan, that's for sure. But you know, government accountability is fundamental. It's a core. When you, as a politician, if you were elected here, really your core fundamental responsibility to me, the taxpayer, is that you will be a good steward of the public purse. That you can kiss all the babies you want, you can go to
Right.
all the ribbon cuttings you want, you can do all the meetings you want, but your first responsibility to me is to be responsible for my money.
right, and unless I give you the choice to walk away from it, you can't make someone be accountable if you can't hold them accountable. There's no
And maybe therein
And-
is the statement of the election.
right. And in our platform, we would like to enact recall legislation.
Okay.
Like I strongly think Kathleen Wynne should have been voted out in 2016. Recall legislation. The other thing that we like is, and I'm really excited about, is a sunset clause on all new legislation. So every single piece of legislation that would come through the legislator would have to provide what their objective is. 5 years from that time, it would be reviewed. If the objective is not met, then it must be tweaked or removed.
Ooh.
I really like that idea. It wasn't my idea, but when I heard it, I was really excited about that.
Yeah, I you know that
'Cause they
makes some sense, because if it's not working, then get it
going.
out of the way.
Give back the people the freedom that you clearly took. Because the laws don't promote freedom.
Some might say, though, Nathan, that's it's too flippant government. We need something more stable.
More stable.
Well, we need something more. And people will say this. Well, you can't just do that, you know. And we need something that we can count on. Well, if you can only count on bad, then it's not good.
Yeah, I think the planet's too fast moving for stability right now. In that sense, if you're going to keep laws that are going to last 20 years, like we got, like there's people, they're showing that they got taxi cab drones coming now, and we're still fighting over bike paths and
Uber.
Yeah, like catch up with the times.
So, how about then? You talked about recall legislation. How do you feel about term limits?
Oh yeah, have to have term limits. I'm very pro term. I think like in Canada, how we can have a prime minister go on forever. They spend the whole time campaigning. Get in, do what you're really passionate about, and get out. Let someone else move on.
Yeah, I
think that's
there is a good strong case for saying, you know, we need to retain some intellectual value of those who have been there before us, because they have knowledge, they have, you know, understanding, that kind of stuff. So it's maybe not get in there for your 4 years and get out. Maybe it's but maybe it's a set number of 4 years.
Yeah.
So is it, you know, maybe it's 3 terms and then you can't run again. Like,
Yeah.
very successful in the United States with that. You
Yeah,
know,
I
they have
agree.
Turnovers.
But the way their Senate is, you can go on forever. That's
Wow.
all they do is campaign.
Well, that's
campaign.
and it becomes a career. You know,
Yes.
and I don't know that being a politician was supposed to be a career.
No, I know. That's something that really like frustrates me. Like we have a MP in my riding now who literally went to school, took on educational debts to try to be a politician. Like, what's your real goal? Like here to control humans, to tax them? What's the goal there? What are you really passionate about? To study how to manipulate
career.
humans?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, it's interesting. You spoke a little bit about we've talked a lot about government accountability and representing the taxpayer, and you also talked about how the world is changing. And you know, right now, technology is, you know, from our perspective, we look at it, and technology is fantastic, right? It's
Right.
all around us. It's
Right.
giving us the information that we need responsively right away. When a government gets elected, in Ontario especially, they can get elected and have full control, majority government, with about 39% of the popular vote. But when they get elected, they have to represent 100% of the people,
Right.
which you would probably say they never do.
No.
They represent their
They
39%.
won't even
or
answer a phone call.
Right. So with technology now, wouldn't it make sense that we can say, you know, maybe you're not handcuffed to the decision as a politician, but for big decisions, and maybe the budget annually, isn't technology there where where the government can reach out to the population and say, hey, give us your feedback on this? Yes, no, you know, like defined answers, not innuendos, but defined answers. Are you in favor of the budget? Yes or no? And while they don't have to necessarily legally follow that, at least it gives them a good gauge as to whether or not they're serving the majority of the people.
Yep.
Don't you think that would be
Yeah.
responsible?
Well, I have a Canadian Revenue Agency login password,
Yeah.
right? Why can't I have a voting password, go in and voice my opinion on every single topic if I want? Every single topic. Talk about what part of taxes I'm excited about paying and what part of taxes I'm not excited about paying.
And if you were the leader of the party, you could be getting that information on a daily basis, saying, you
Right.
know what, we need to move more in this direction because, you know, clearly the majority aren't with us.
No, I agree.
And so we need to move because their responsibility now is to govern for the majority, right?
Yeah, I attended the electoral reform town halls, and they're at specific times. They're very rarely publicly notified, and especially even the other town halls are in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
I work. I can't get to those.
Yeah.
But why can't I at nighttime before I go to bed have a coffee, log in, and start clicking on what I like and what I don't like?
Well, you do it with everything else.
Yeah, yeah.
You send me notes at all hours.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, Nathan, it's been a great discussion, but I want to give you an opportunity to speak directly to the constituents of Kitchener South-Hespeler in the riding and try and convince them as to why they should vote for you.
Hi, I'm
Right
Nathan.
here.
Hi, I'm Nathan Lajeunesse, and I stand for less taxes and more freedom. If you're disappointed in the current government and you don't think any of the other government will make any improvements, consider me, Nathan Lajeunesse. Thank you very much.
Well, there you heard it. And we hope these videos will help you make an informed decision on June the 7th. We encourage you to reach out, talk to the candidates, and ask questions on issues that affect you most. But please, on June the 7th, please vote. I'm Greg DeRocher for the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for watching. Nathan.